Here comes the news with a twist and a grin. Steve and Alan diving in again. Almost daily, but always sharp. He'll hit your brain like a lightning spark. Steve and Alan, almost daily. Laughs and facts, served up plainly. Your dose of wit, it's never shady. Steve and Alan, almost daily.
Well, hello, and welcome to another Stephen Allen Almost Daily, the live stream on YouTube youtube.com/ at Mr. Stephen Allen. But if you're watching this, you'd know that. But you could be listening to the audio and the audio version. And I'll say this before we even get to the fancy plugs. Today is another 2 podcast day. There's the audio only one from the radio show, which is All Hit Radio. And I should plug that as well. It's more plug than content, this, isn't it? But yes, you can get the audio version. That is set to release a little bit later. The live stream 1 o'clock for the, or just after 1, I think. For the audio-only version, sweet titties, you could get way too much Steve, is what I'm saying. That's what we've got planned for you, way too much Steve. For the live one, get to the comment section on YouTube already. Proper Memes is in there, who's had a good day by the look of those comments. I'm not going to achieve that level of win that you've managed. But he talks about buying tickets to Jeff Norcott. Excellent comedian, of course, former big star from The MASH Report. And honestly, that TV show was the Midas touch for everyone, apart from one. But anyway, he says Jeff goes to Redruth in Cornwall, but Steve doesn't venture further than Bracknell this way. Well, indeed, I'll be performing in Bracknell tomorrow night. I've had some Taunton gigs. Here's the thing, right, about stand-up comedy that I've noticed. If I drive to get to a gig for more than about 3 hours, my expectation of how good that audience will be is unfair on them. Do you know what I mean? I do a joke, and if they don't laugh enough, I'm like, I drove 3 hours for... And that's not the attitude you need when you're on stage. Hi-ho, Kermit's in there. Just getting on your horse without falling off. It will be a win for you, Steve. Indeed. Was I meant to bring a horse? I realised today's show I'm already going to be apologising for not doing a energy drink of the day, of the week, whatever it is, because the ones I've got there are the ones we've already covered. Also, I think I need to go for a nap later. We should start with this, I'm tired. If you were watching the GB News coverage last night, I did the late edition. We talked about the newspapers. You can still find that, still watch some of my hot takes on what's been happening in the world of the front pages. Me talking about the news, who'd have thought such a thing? But then there was a tech problem. So when Bev started her show, it was still me and Patrick, had to go in there and fill for a while. And then I was on at the end of Bev's show, so I left work at 2, got home at gone 3 to go take the kids into school. So there might be a little bit of fatigue as a running theme through today's show. The fact that it's got this far already is quite a win. Also, Bev was being really nice to me. I like it. It's not like the first time I was on a show and she called me a friend and then I was like, oh, we're friends. So far, she's still not got in touch or anything about that. But I think we're friends. I think I'm big friends with Beverly Turner. I think that's happening. Joodle says, no energy drink of the day. I demand a refund. I could drink the same energy drink again. We've got to get some new ones. We've got a turkey shop in the high street and not a barber's. Not one of those. This place seems to not be laundering any money. Why don't they use laundrettes to launder money? Do you know what I mean? It feels like you'd be helping me out with a pun instead of doing barbers. How am I meant to do jokes about barbers without someone sniping, yeah, what do you know about getting your hair cut? You know what I mean? It ruins it for me. So we'll take a look at the front pages, get your comments in the chat section, and then we'll go deeper into the news. I say we'll do the front pages. There's not a lot to cover. If you want to see what I said on the newspaper coverage thing, go and watch that one. Because we've got Whitehall data breach gave secrets to China. There's about 2 or 3 different stories about China across different front pages. It's all very messy. If you want to see it kind of crammed into one easy to digest takedown of it, that's what I did on my Substack last night when I was waiting between being on Patrick's show and actually getting on Bev's show. I wrote a Substack, substack.com/ at Mr. Stephen Allen. Look how efficient I'm becoming in my old age. Why I believe Thatcher had an affair is a mental image you'll never get from your head, plus also a story we'll be focusing later. But I don't need to tell you what's happening in the Times, because look at the top. Caitlin Moran on Victoria Beckham. Well, who wouldn't want to buy that newspaper now? So I'm sure I'm sure you've already bought it and you've already read that. The Mirror goes with Tories PPE scandal, 145 million owed, not a penny paid back. The Michelle Mone thing. But, of course, this is the limited of a limited company, isn't it? That they sold some PPE that was not up to scratch. Don't scratch your PPE. And some, of course, just fold the company and walk away, isn't it? Who would have thought that if you wanted protective equipment, going to someone who knows how to make bras was not the way to do it? I don't often wear a bra, but I don't think you do it for protection, unless I've really misunderstood what the lingerie thing's about. That's a different signal, isn't it? If someone crops up in a little lacy number and you're like, you're just doing this for protection. Do you have any protection? And she whips out a bra. Anyway, let's deal with that mental image that we move on from that. So the point is, we don't really need the front pages. In the comments, Hi-Ho Kermit says they do outdoor laundrettes these days, apparently. Do they really? Was it a foreign affair? Says Proper Memes. We'll find out when we cover the story. Still a mental image no one will want. Chris Hood's here saying evening all. Evening, Chris has actually managed to find the start of a stream. Wowzers. Could any of us believe that John Major, says Hi-Ho Kermit, had an affair with Edwina Curry, though? Least of all, Norma. You're right. I think with that one, though, with Edwina Curry and John Major, it's so hard to imagine you don't have the problem of the mental image. Even if I try, and I've got quite a good imagination, I can't muster up any of that. If I try and imagine them at it, just blank. I can imagine a border, I can imagine a frame, I can imagine a little play bar down the bottom, ding, 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 ding is a little jingle thing that plays before the video. I'm not sure where this stuff's coming from, but I can't get the details. Major was a big fan of hot curry, says Proper Means. Oh, you're ruining it. I think she should have had an affair with Tim Rice. Just for that mental image, I could imagine that getting messy. That is true, says Hi-Ho Kermit. There you go. See? I don't want to hear Michelle moan about this. Just pay it back, says Proper Memes. Don't start with the puns already. Don't worry, I've probably got too many puns. I can probably ruin today's show like I did the last one with too many puns. And also, Proper Memes sent some more production. We'll do that at the end of the show. AI is taking over, baby, and it's making things better. Meanwhile, he says, slamming his jewellery onto the table, let's see what's inside the newspapers.
Let's get inside the news.
Hello, you join me here next to my desk to see what's happening in the newspapers. Quite a lot to try and get through today. I prepped this a little while ago, so I suppose we can start with this. Taxes will rise, Rachel finally says. Rachel Reeves is poised to bring in punishing tax rises in the budget and said targeting the rich will be part of the story, despite warnings. Blah, 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 blah. So look, it's not great, is it? There was a bit I was reading in The Guardian about saying that she wants to focus on the wealthy. She will tax the wealthy. Here is the problem. How would you define the wealthy? And there is a strong chance, and this is not a bad definition for it, that you define the really wealthy by those who are rich enough to be able to move around their assets to avoid tax. And this is the problem. This is the paradox you're in. That anyone who's not so the people who can really shoulder the burden would be those who are rich enough to move their assets around. But then you don't manage to tax them. So you tax the ones below that, and they're not really the wealthy, are they? They're doing all right. Taxing the doing all rights is not the solution that we want. You could absolutely take all the money from a billionaire, and I ain't going to particularly care. But when it's someone who's just on the upper side of doing all right, ruining their existence through tax, I'm not incredibly sure of it. I do think, though, what needs to happen is whatever tax band I'm in, that's the one that probably needs to have an easier time. And that's probably how it works. It's like people's definition of promiscuity, isn't it? Any more than you's too much, any less than you. Come on, raise your game. And that's how I work tax-wise. Chris Hood says, I got up late. Fair enough. Are you just egging them on? Was I doing egg puns? I can't remember. Emmis, I don't know how you say that. Emma Schools? Is that like testicles, but with M at the start? Hey, don't pick on Chris. I had to pretend to take a call from my boss so I could sneak away and watch this live. Well, Emmy Testicles, if that's your real name, I'm sure it is. It's very nice to have you here. No one believes you've got a boss, do they? What else we got in there? Hi-Ho Kermit says, oh, egg. Because of Tim Rice and Edwina Curry with eggs. I could have imagined if Edwina Curry had an affair with Salmonella Rushdie. He's been through enough. Don't put him through that. Don't put that. This is some good advice. Tap tweak. So a barmaid, Katie Allen, no relation because she spells it differently, got over a breakup with her boyfriend Ryan by transforming his tattoo into that of her favourite airline. Firstly, you're not aim higher in life. That your favourite airline might be Ryanair. I mean, I'm sure it's good if you don't mind a short coach trip to the actual place where you wanted to land. But also, and here's the real advice that I think we should be featuring on the show. Don't get a tattoo of your partner's name. It's the dumbest idea. We live in a world where 42% of marriages end in divorce. So I imagine anything lower than a marriage is less steady. Don't get a tattoo. We are talking statistically you're likely to have to change it. Or only get a tattoo of your partner's name if they've got something that you definitely can change it to. Leave a space. Do you know what I mean? Leave a blank around there. And that's why or just go out with only people of the same name. This is why for years now we've had that list of most popular girls' names that have come out, and it's always been Olivia for years and years now, isn't it? Which means you give it 18 years, got to let it bake. Got to let it bake. But 18 years from now, when they're all, what's the phrase? Fair game? That's not the phrase. Old enough. That still seems wrong, doesn't it? Don't talk about grass on the pitch. But you know what I mean? When they are old enough to be dating, men of that correct generation, just get yourself an Olivia tattoo. Just be easy. And then you go, oh, look how much you mean to me. Olivia, and then square brackets, insert surname, close square brackets. That's how much you mean to me. And that'll work, won't it? My ex was Brit, and now I love British Airways. It says proper memes. Fair enough. My ex was easy, and something. And what else we got going on in the comments section? And Hi-Ho Kermit says, no legroom on Ryanair. They should advertise it as an airline for the short folk. Yeah, I don't like the fact that you get slightly less space as well on that back row. That's a cheap deal. When I did the gig in Jersey a couple of months ago, or earlier this year, they booked us in then. The thing about, they go, oh, we got a gig, and accommodation and flights are paid for. They found a way to make it so cheap. The only way you can take a change of outfit for a performance is to wrap it in a towel and cram it up nature's pocket. That's the only way to get stuff in. Maybe it's not the only way. I could have just worn it, but it doesn't matter, does it? I'm old enough, says Joodles. No, two Joodles, says proper memes. What's you? You didn't have a fling with Gladiator Jet. That would have made more sense. This story we'll do in a bit. Move that to one side. We've got a lot of big ones today. Taking up too much space. Oh, can we do this? What's this one? All right, alien news. And for those long-term fans of the Time FM show, we should get back into doing alien sketches, but they take a bit of work. But boffins are ready to reveal whether a mysterious metal orb was made by extraterrestrials. This is exciting news for anyone who's like an alien fan. The Bouger sphere, the Booger sphere. We're just hoping it's not the Bugger sphere. That's no wonder aliens don't want to visit if we name them the Bugger sphere. In fact, Bugger sphere sounds like it's a terrible nickname from the 80s for the LGBT community. I'm sure that's not what it is. Is that what it is? You're a member of the Bugger sphere? No. We can't even talk about that story now. We've ruined it. Let's move on. Here's Donald Trump, and apparently he's upset about the picture that they used on Time magazine. There's the picture. And in it, there's a bit in the story where we find out, zoom in, there we go. He's upset, he looks at that picture, and he complained about what they've done with his hair. Maybe it's just because I've made my peace with being a bald man, but the hair's not the problem. He says that it's a super bad pic, it makes him look bald. They've done something with my hair. I had something floating on top of my head that looks like a crown. It's the letter M in the word time. I don't know why you found that confusing, but surely the problem in that picture is not the hair. It's the, what's the bit on the chicken? This bit. Don't get me wrong, from that angle, I don't think I'd look good. But it's pornographic, isn't it? I don't know if YouTube's going to be upset if I use the phrase camel toe, but it's camel neck. Can you say that? It feels, again, I'm hearing that same theme tune from the hub. It's interesting, isn't it? So there you go, Donald Trump's neck. He didn't really, he said it was a bad angle, and he questioned why they were taking. Oh, did you not notice someone was taking your photo? How do people sneak in and do this? Do you just hear hi ho? Because now that there's not as much mining going off, I guess Seven Dwarves needed to find work. Is that what happened down there? It's a delightful image, isn't it? Put that to one side. Martin, hello Martin, says his hair looks great for a turkey Twizzler. It looks like he needs to go to Turkey. He can afford more of an implant, couldn't he? He could get some of that. If I had his money, I would not be looking like this. Do you know what I mean? Donald Hump, says Martin. Nice, says Proper Memes. And yes, says Kermit. Not sure what we're asking. Oof, you wait all day for Martin and then 2 turn up at once. You very much are like buses. So just normal Martin and Martin Watson, if you're getting confused in the chat. This is worrying. Children who read news online have admitted to believing fake or AI-generated stories. If there are any children watching this, a lot of this show is AI these days. The theme tunes, the jingles, Proper Memes have sent me some stuff for later. But also, if you are don't be a child watching this. This is not the stream for you. I don't want you learning things from me. But also, if you are a child who gets confused about fake news and AI news, that's okay because you're a child. The bigger problem is not in this news story, is it? It's the grown-ups who are idiots. Those ones who absolutely fall for it. In fact, even worse, if you fell for something because it's a believable AI, fair enough. I'll tell you what bothers me. Those people who kind of know something is fake, but share it anyway because it goes towards their goals. I wrote one of my newspaper columns a while ago. It was for the local newspapers I write in. I'm not really trying to move the dial on much, but I wrote a piece once that I'm still quite happy about. Maybe I should talk about this at the Battle of Ideas. The idea that no one wants to spend energy to prove themselves wrong. Let's stop pretending that we're gullible. No, we're not. We're trying. It's not even confirmation bias because that implies it's unconscious. It's a conscious, oh, I like this one. I don't really care if it's not true. And I'm guilty of it as well. There is no way that David Cameron really did that pig. But I've done the jokes because it's nice that it's not nice for the pig. That it's not nice for whoever, he ruined that dinner. But it's just, we like the jokes that fit our own stuff, don't we? Hi-ho Kermit says, what we got? Oh, Martin Watson. I don't fully understand the inference. I'll take normal Martin, says Martin. Oh, because of no surname. I think Martin considers himself to be Martin 1, and then Martin Watson, he's trying to relegate you to subcategory of Martin. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. It's a safe space. The internet. Mart. Oh, is an option as well. Well, fight it out among yourselves. Meanwhile, young naturists leading a charge to get more Gen Z members. Of course they are. Of course. Do you not think that's exactly the thing we've feared about naturists? What are you doing in your spare time, naturists? Oh, we try and recruit young members. Wrong uns. There's a thing recently about the fake graffiti they did in the Canterbury Cathedral, which people were saying, why are they doing it? People are obsessed with trying to recruit the young, aren't they? The BBC, when I was working there, the BBC was like that all the time. Let's do this thing that gets more young people watching the BBC. Why? Oh, because they don't pay the licence fee. They're literally going for your non-customers. This obsession with get them early, indoctrinate early. There are so many things that I was forced to do back in my BBC days that you knew was done to try and recruit people who had no interest in watching. And the same thing's true of the church. Stop doing your embarrassing, hey, kids are into graffiti. Let's spread the word through graffiti. In general, if you're the church, back away from the kids. Let's keep priests away from kids just for a while. Feels like that might be the next good move. And if you're a naturist, we knew you were trying to... absolutely. Bunch of wrong uns, a lot of them. And I had a great time when I performed comedy at the Orpington Naturist place. That was great. I've told that story many times when I was booked in for that gig. Do you want to do a gig in Orpington? Sure. The week of the gig, they sent me the address. Orpington Naturist Society. Wait a minute. Thankfully, I did not have to perform naked. And one thing I learned that day is that if the audience is naked, when they all sit down, it sounds like a round of applause. Plastic seats, always recommend it. More youth, says Martin. Exactly. Stop trying to recruit the young. There's a thing in the newspaper the other day, it was in the audio podcast, of how they're looking at the way in which young people are changing the English language. I don't care. I don't want to learn to speak their language. I know all the words. Orpington, Chile. Well, I don't know. Deepest, darkest Kent. I was living in Gravesend at the time, so it was no distance. Not just neck flaps. I reckon Donald Trump would turn up there with that and they'd let him straight through. There's probably AI at the gate these days. They need to see something that looks a bit like that and then beep, straight through. Speaking of which, this is too big for even my zoomed out thing, but this is What's the Chops. Sydney Sweeney, that's the name, isn't it? Hollywood star Sydney Sweeney gets ready to go pout as she posts a late night makeup tutorial online. She's doing some makeup there. If you're listening to the audio version of this, it's a shame. I got pictures of Sydney Sweeney. What have you done with your day? She's doing a makeup tutorial, which I'm slightly annoyed by. It's just another unfair thing about online influencer space. She can do a makeup. In general, there are loads of young women doing makeup tutorials, and that's content. There's never going to be a bit where I could do a shave. Do you know what I mean? Would you tune in for me getting the razor out or taking it down to a grade 1 beard? No. You know what? No one wants to see this being prepared. But people want to see this. And this is the one that gets me down the bottom there. Look at that one. Can we just zoom in on this? Can we zoom in on this? Ladies, is this where you powder? The, what's that called? Like the Dell cottage, or the Dell owns a cottage and it's made of boobs. Is that what you do? Do you do that? And it's interesting, isn't it, that just two pieces of flesh pushed together with a little bit of makeup are quite attractive. So maybe he shouldn't feel so bad. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of makeup under there. You got a Sydney Sweeney going on. You got cleavage. A little bit of neck cleavage. You call it a wattle or whatever it is, bad. You call it neck cleavage. All of a sudden. Gets pretty sexy. Where do we get to? Gwarpington, says Martin Watson. Martin W. It was, yeah. A members-only club. It wasn't just members. There was also some of the old Donald Trumps available. What's the Chop, says Martin. Yeah, I think that's what she's called. I've got pictures of Morgan Sweeney, says Proper Memes. Only shaves. I would be willing to do a shaving tutorial, Joodles, if anyone wants to see that. Just the face. Chris Hood said that's where she keeps her extra calories. Well. Martin, yeah, décolletage. That one. The French word for that patch. That yeah. People are sending rude words. I don't know if I can read any of those out. Don't buy these things. It's the Charlie Bingham's something or other. A cook is flogging posh ready meals for folks who find restaurant prices hard to stomach. If you're buying ready meals, get a cheap tap. You know what I mean? Charlie Bingham's, speaking of Bingham's, where's that picture of Sydney Sweeney? Oi, oi. New range of Waitrose, £29.95 beef Wellington. 20 quid's worth of salmon and £16 coq au vin. I'll leave the comment section to do those jokes. You don't need me filling in that gap, do you? Something about a van. But I don't think that's why people go for posh nosh. You don't go for posh nosh because you like the idea of small portions that aren't really filling and there's just way too much butter. Because that's what posh food is. I think people go to posh restaurants so you can say afterwards, oh, we went to that restaurant the other day. It's just showing off, isn't it? And then often it's people, we went to the restaurant the other day. Yeah, actually not as good as you would have thought. People love to be that person, don't they? And no one's going to be, what did you do the other night? Actually, we had a really expensive TV dinner. Not a chance. Who decided that posh and ready meal could occupy the same sentence? Amateur, said Joodles. Indeed. There's nothing posh about the thing that tells you your dinner's ready is not a gong, it's a bing. Remember when microwaves binged? How old am I? When microwaves go beep, 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 that one. I don't mind it when the microwave beeps. What winds me up is our washing machine beeps when it's done its cycle. And then a minute later beeps again. And a minute later, and it just keeps going on. If I wanted to be nagged about it, I would have got... You can finish that joke as well. You could buy a pair of rubber Wellingtons for that. Good point. Tastes just as good as well if you're microwaving it. French for dropped food. Is that what it is? And Dunlop Wellington's proper memes. Yeah, that sounds posh. Also in the news, can we get away with that? That's very small. Zoom in. A neurosurgeon has been arrested for allegedly allowing her daughter, 12, to drill a hole in a patient's skull in Austria. Honestly, they go on about this, take your daughter to day work. Oh, they've got to get them into the STEM subjects. She literally does it and then she's fired. Honestly. She needs that like a whole... Oh, actually, probably a bad phrase. This is an interesting one. You can turn the beeping off on a washing machine. Can you? By unplugging it. That's what proper meme says. I'll look into that. Vets are in the news. Vets could be forced to publish a price list and to put a cap on the cost of providing prescriptions because they're cheating us out of money. They know how much we love the pets and they will charge massive amounts. So what they think they should do is have to put the price list up for the procedures. I think it needs to go a step further. Vets should be forced to list the price of the procedure and the price of a new dog. Because it's an important calculation. One that if the numbers were in front of you, you might be more able to convince the family. Like, look, we love our little Rover, and if we look at he needs the scan, then the surgery, and that's £4,000. We can get a new one for £1,000. We can get 2 new dogs for £2,000 and still save the money. So maybe we do that. I'm moneysavingexpert.com. I don't know why people aren't writing these ideas down. Martin says I wouldn't have minded, but it was in the waiting room. #drill. What was that one related to? Can't remember. This one makes more sense. ETs are bored with us, according to this newspaper. Bored aliens have lost interest in trying to make contact. A new study suggests ET may be suffering from radical mundanity. Don't really know what that is. Instead of zipping around the universe looking for life, it suggests the Milky Way is home to modest civilizations with technology that's not much more impressive than our own. I also think there's a strong chance that alien civilizations could be monitoring us. This was the basis of all the alien sketches I did on Time FM. Because you know how light, what's it called? Electromagnetic radiation. The propagation of that electro and the magnetic part of the wave just flips on out for infinity. It gets weaker, but it goes on forever at the speed of light. So it means aliens could be listening to anything that was broadcast, not digitally unless they can work out how to decode it, but for FM signals, they could be picking those up for years. And I've worked in radio for 20 years, doing various shows, Mercury FM, GWR FM, Heartbeat, Time FM, all of these, right? So there's a strong chance aliens have heard my work and they don't want to visit us. And I understand. Aliens, that's not on you. Especially if you were listening to some of those GWR breakfast shows. Yeah, probably would have stayed where I am as well. If I'd have known about it, probably wouldn't have signed up to that. Why are our names okay on here? Why are our names okay on here? What? They are they? Apart from the Martin and Martin Watson thing. Sounds like the aliens discovered Channel 5 and gave up. Imagine that. They tune in just in time to see the Spice Girls counting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because it was like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 song, wasn't it? They just flipped it round. Clever. Yay, Kermit. I've lost. £500 for sewing up a wound on our cat. Was it? And again, it would have been cheaper to maybe buy a new cat and keep the old one with the hole. I'm not saying you've got to get rid of it. Did it look a little bit like Donald Trump for a while? That's, had its uses. Bored aliens are clearly not watching Almost Daily podcasts as proper memes. But this is not broadcast on FM. This stays on the planet, doesn't it? They won't be able to get this. Back when I used to have a broadcast career and be on FM, they could listen to it then. Sinful Charlotte says, afternoon all, sorry late. I've had my hands full. Well, I'm glad you're here now. You've missed all the good jokes have already gone. I've got a Tom Cruise one I'll try and get through in a bit. You missed all the good jokes. No, actually, this is not a bad one. Try and do this right in case I want to make a clip from it. A 100-year-old veteran of the D-Day landings has been awarded an honorary university degree. But degrees don't really help you get a job these days. So it feels like an absolute waste, doesn't it? After what Jim went through, and what do we give him? Oh, yeah, here's a bachelor's in performing arts or something. If anything, you just made him overqualified. He's never going to find a job now. I don't know why that tickled my fancy, that one before. And Sydney was on earlier on. Yes, we did. We talked about Sydney Sweeney. I suppose she would have been a handful as well. Royal Mail has been fined £21 million for missing its annual targets for delivering first and second class mail. And that's very on brand, isn't it? Missing a target for delivering something. It's almost the definition. What is annoying about this is phase one of the story of why stamps will be more expensive. We will pay this £21 million fine, won't we? Whoever's in charge, they'll still get their profits. I've got hiccups today. I'm really fighting these. They'll get the dividends, and somehow we will pay for this. The company delivered just 77% of first class and 92.5% of second class. Well, I'm going to start using second class mail then. Sounds way more successful. This was short of its respective 93 and 98.5% targets. Only 93. Imagine that. We're living in a world where already they're saying 7% of that first class mail. Do what you will with it. We can't expect you to deliver all the letters. You got your hands are busy trying to drop all those elastic bands everywhere. That's the main thing that they do, isn't it? I've said this before. I don't mind anymore. I used to complain about the little red elastic bands being left everywhere. They just throw them everywhere. And then eventually you reach the stage where you want an elastic band and you think, I'll just get one on the way into work. And I've done that before. Yeah, give them a wash. They're fine. But now I think there are so many of them building up. At some point, no one will ever die from falling over ever again. Because if there's soft elastic bands everywhere, one of the leading causes of death for women over 75, a fall. Not in the future when it's elastic bands everywhere. You'll just hear, doing, she's up again. Chris Hood says the check's in the post. Do you remember that tweet? That was an all right tweet, wasn't it? When the Royal Mail was being sold to some Czech bloke. Did you remember that? I've done like 3 funny tweets in my life. The best one was when JLS were getting back together, and I said Marvin's only going to go part-time. Well, he said he's only going to come in one of the Saturdays. That was my favourite one. Martin says, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for reminding me to say that now. I always forget to do that later. Royal Mail report was sent a month ago, but it's only just arrived, says Martin. Very true. Surge in rogues on roads. There was a 12% surge, I think I met him once, in the number of penalty points added to driver's licence in 2024. This is my theory. Because we can't be taxed in any useful and obvious way. It's the stealth way of taxing us. My theory, and I've talked about it last night on GB News, the only way that we'll have to pay all the money that's owed. It comes from us. There's nowhere else for the money to come from. And if they're not doing it on income tax or some other tax where you can actually see what's happening, they will be finding other ways. They will be making the entire country a box junction. You will just see, these lines painted everywhere. And everywhere you drive, you'll be fined unless you're turning right. The only way to survive will be to get to work only turning right. So yeah, 12% surge in the number of penalty points. With is it a £60 fine or a £100 fine? It's been a while since I've been caught. But it's been a while since I did that. Martin only comes in the Saturdays, and Martin says, I'm not in JLS anymore. Does that mean we need to have another Martin in the comment section? Is Martin Watson still there? He might have made a run for it. Is Joodle saying yay? That's been a while. And then what else we got? Chris Hood, number 3 in the comment section. Hang on, what's happened? And I think we've only got 2 stories left. And this one's it's not what you want. Maggie affair during career. Margaret Thatcher had 2 affairs during her marriage. It's been claimed in a new bombshell book. It's claimed the former PM cheated on her husband Dennis in set. Well, if he was busy doing that. Was he a teacher? During a political career. Oh, no, there he is. He's down there. He's in set. And he was a big drinker, wasn't he? I remember doing a joke back in the day. She had a cabinet, he had a drinks cabinet. The couple were married for more than 50 years. But a new biography, The Incidental Feminist, said that the Iron Lady had secret lovers. You would want to keep it to yourself, wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? I mean, she'd want to keep it secret as well. I have this theory that we should not care about politicians' infidelities because the kind of mindset that makes you a politician means you probably get up to stuff like that. And it's only because you could ruin someone's reputation by outing them as having some kind of dalliance, some peccadillos, that you then have the ability to blackmail people. If you couldn't blackmail people for having info about their affairs, then the recent story, the WhatsApp guy, the guy who was trying to get all the people's numbers, they'd be fine. And it means if no one cared whether politicians had affairs or not, the Profumo scandal would just be a story about a woman who couldn't sit on a chair the right way. We'd still enjoy the pictures, but it wouldn't have been scandally. Martin says, "Ion lady." I was trying to work out what the pun would be about that, but you've got it. I'm not sure anyone's in JLS anymore. Right, there we go. Well, no, I think that's going to be too harsh. She's no longer with us, is she? Oh, here we go. Here's a sad one. Speaking of no longer being with us, this little pair, very much looking like dad and daughter on the way to Alton Towers, but it's not. It was this couple, the celebrity couple of Tom Cruise has split from actress girlfriend Ana de Armas. Is that how you pronounce it? Armas? It's the two things that some people don't know the difference between. No, they can't tell the difference between one bit and their elbow. She can. It's her name, literally her name. They were 9 months together, and they've split up. He is 63, she 37. And the great thing about that is it means that she's not half his age. She's slightly more than half his age. And this is why it's a shame they split up. In the audio-only podcast recently, we looked at this. Brad Pitt is dating someone who's and they've moved in together. She's slightly more than half his age. And when they met, she was slightly less than half his age, and they were right to wait. I think this is the lesson, isn't it? Because each year, her level of halfness doubles. Well, it goes at a rate twice as fast as his. He gets a year older, her double age goes 2 years older. So at some point, this is fine. Like, years ago, when she was 1, he would have been... Let's not even think... That would have been an age gap that's inappropriate. Even if he was 2, it still would have been appropriate. Let's go a bit higher. Back when she was at school, he was old. And somehow they've waited until now. She's 37 and he's 63, which is... When she was 36 and he was 63, at least they had the same numbers in their age. I'm just trying to defend it, and I'm not sure why. But I think these relationships at some point have to end, don't they? Because, say, there they look like they're just on the way out. They're in a photo me booth in Alton Towers. And they've got to break up because at some point he'd be in, the care home for retired actors. He won't. He does all of his own stunts, doesn't he? At some point, you'll hear something snap and he'll be all sorted. So anyway, there we go. You can still buy JLS stuff down Robert Dyer, says Martin. JML puns on the show. This is the only streaming show that appreciates JML, like no others. And what's we got? Who did you have an affair with? That's her. Thatch her. Are you trying to do a Thatcher pun there? The joke I did think of earlier, I'll say it. The lady's not for turning versus the ladies not for turning over. I don't know what the joke would have been, but it's disgusting. We don't want to do that about Margaret Thatcher. Hi-ho, Kermit. Oh, like the one that has its own section and screen in Asda. JML. You know JML. Yeah, we're loving it. Anna found Taming Tom to be a mission impossible. Do you reckon that's the problem? Taming? You reckon that's the thing? Martin says, sounds like one of those join Mensa quizzes. If Tom's girlfriend was less than half his age, but when they moved in together she was slightly more than half his age, how creepy is this? It's quite, isn't it? It's quite creepy. JML, that's the one to less. If we've achieved nothing else on the show today, it's working out that JML is quite good. I was also trying to imply that Tom Cruise may have been slightly, the rumours about him, they can't be true, because if we just... This is the last person he's dated. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, there he is, just hanging on to the holes. She didn't have to worry about looking like Trump's neck, did she? We're up to date with all of the fun that entailed. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, yeah, that's true. They didn't go to Alton Towers. Chris Hood points out Alton Towers has a minimum height for some rides, which is more than she does. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I told you I was tired. You can watch why I'm tired by looking at the videos from GB News last night. I'm on there again. We should do the plugs. Proper Memes gave us the audio for this, so it's time to find out what I'll be doing soon. Smooth music.
Here are the plugs where you can see Steve and Helen all this week.
That's right. I'll be performing in a few places. Well, you can listen to me on All Here Radio, weekdays from 1 on the internet. The audio-only version of the podcast is available on Spotify, and there's another episode coming out in about, give it half an hour. On Friday nights, I'll be performing in Bracknell. Comedy Cellar, that is a good gig, I do enjoy that one. Saturday morning on GB News at 6 a.m. I think they've not confirmed it yet. I've never been booked for their breakfast newspaper review before, so we'll see if it gets actually approved. Saturday in the day, I'll be at the Battle of Ideas, discussing the topic, is politics funny? Well, I hope so. Saturday night, London, the Bearcat Comedy Club, wherever that is in London, I'll be performing there. Sunday, I'll be doing nothing. Look at what my Saturday looks like. I'll be absolutely like the Iron Lady who's just been turned over. I'll be face down. And then, of course, Substack. There's another post on there from last night when I was writing up what we were doing on the telly. Go to kofi.com/Mr. Stephen Allen with any spare money, as if that's ever such a thing. And in general, track me down on @Mr. Stephen Allen on your social medias. Left the side cam on them. Are we back in Robert Dias? Here are the plugs, says Martin. Yep, I do love a Robert Dias. Oh. Preview of Steve's wardrobe on the side cam, says Proper Means. I did try and tidy it up a little bit. This is where there's no space for me in the house. The house is not designed for me to live there. I don't know, I'm looking at that camera. So I moved it into the shed studio because it's good acoustic soundproofing. The problem is, it was more shirts than... I've tried to move the jackets to this end to look a bit fancier, but it didn't work. This one over here. I need a red light that changes when we're on different cameras. That's the next one. I think we're all here for the side cam, says Martin. That's right. There's a slight problem in that processing the picture from the side cam takes longer than processing the picture from the 4K bad boy up there. So I'm slightly out of sync. I delayed the audio to be in sync with this one, but I'd have to do it. I'd have to get extra delay if I do that. You're not here for those levels of technicals, are we? Warming up to the side cam now, says Sinful Charlotte. Why, thanks. Does the side cam need a wipe? No, it doesn't. What it is, it's such a cheap Goodman's camera from a B&M Bargains when I was first learning how to do streaming. And then I just left it in a box. So it's scuffed. I could buy a better one, but why? It's a side cam. It's not actually a black and white one. I'm trying to make it... I can wipe it if you want. If that's what people are into. You want to see Sydney Sweeney do a makeup, you can see a man wipe his lens. Is that what you're into? Messages from the past. Yes, there is a slight delay in the audio to match the pictures. I'm not new here. I think we're all done. Thank you very much for watching this. Tomorrow, you need to get a new cam from Robert Dias, says Proper Memes. I think they should give me a free one, given the level of plugging Robert Dias and JML have had on today's show. JML, if you're listening, and I know you're a big fan of the show, send me free things. Tomorrow, there is a chance I am free for the 12 o'clock stream. Ideas on what we should do, we can go through the news, but last time we did one, it was more of a Steve's really tired now, let's just talk some absolute rubbish. We could do that. Was it Martin who came up with the idea of doing an interview? If you've got any questions for me in the comment section, we can try and play it that way. We'll see. It's a busy weekend coming up. If I can free up the time tomorrow, and if you're available, do let me know. We can do another one tomorrow at 12. Meanwhile, we play out today with Proper Memes, who's used AI. There's so much now AI content of me out there on the internet that I'm not sure if it's creepy. Thankfully, it's definitely in that uncanny valley. At the moment, it feels like this won't replace me. I'm sure, in fact, go and have a look at Proper Memes' Twitter's thing. There's a bit where he's managed to copy my voice in AI, and it has totally missed the fact that I was originally from the East Midlands. To my trained ear, it's got me as a full Southerner, and it's missing out some of that. This is a guy who spent 18 years in the East Midlands a long while ago because he's old now. Is that a thing you can type in a prompt? Give it a go, see what it'll do. All right, final comments. Take yours to the checkout now. That's right. But wait, that's not all. JML, if you're listening, I also would do your voiceovers for those weird cathode ray screens as you walk around shops. Yeah. I used to sit there and watch the adverts for the strainer drainer. Do you know the strainer drainer? If you want to strain something or drain things, what are you going to do? Use a colander? Of course you could. But why not buy the strainer drainer instead? What is it? It's a colander. But JML, John Mills Limited. No, it doesn't stand for that. Martin says #facts. John Mills. Sir John Mills. Is he peddling all that rubbish? Dias do sell webcams, but not JML. I'm not buying another webcam just for that. And so I think we're all sorted. I don't want you getting a more high-definition picture of my wardrobe. You wait till you work out what's in the boxes over there. That's for cheesy peas. There are. In one of those, there is some emergency food. I've got tinned goods in one of those drawers because I don't want it. Maybe not that one, not that John Mills. Makes sense now. Now you say it out loud, it makes sense. So until next time, have yourself a good one. Might see you tomorrow.
Here comes the news with a twist and a grin. Stephen Allen diving in again. Almost daily, but always sharp. He'll hit your brain like a lightning spark.